when caring becomes controlling. This husband threw out his wife's kitchen utensils, the kitchen utensils that she bought and obviously that she wanted. I was tagged in this 2X chromosome subreddit post. She says, I keep thinking about the woman whose husband threw away her kitchen utensils. So this woman talks about the post. Of course, I had to go find the post, but let's look at this post. She says, there was a post on a popular sub where a woman discussed that she was upset because her husband threw away all of her plastic and silicone cooking and baking utensils and bought her a wooden set as a replacement because he was concerned about microplastics. It was established that she does the cooking and the cleaning. The Peanut Gallery said she should be grateful he got her a beautiful set of wooden tools. It wasn't that nice. They dismissed her opinions and feelings because she wasn't sophisticated enough to appreciate the upgrade. They condescended to her about microplastics. They said he did her a favor. Nobody acknowledged that she now had to hand wash every tool she used. Lord knows the husband wasn't doing it. Very few seemed concerned that the husband just made a decree and didn't bother having a discussion with her. This really pissed me off. Fine, whatever. Microplastics are bad. I personally don't use plastic tools with heat, but that's not the point. Those were her tools that she had acquired to make food for her family. Can you imagine if a woman went out into the garage and threw away a man's tools? To the gallows. I like my silicone tools because I do a lot of baking. Ever try getting dough out of wood grain? Scrambled eggs? F that. Since he didn't clean, this would become her problem. Not sure why I'm even posting this other than I keep thinking about it whenever I'm in the kitchen doing some messy meal and I'm tossing my tools into the dishwasher without a care in the world. I think that this is a very valid discussion to have because in some people's minds, they are caring, but in other people's minds, it's like, how dare you? People simply do not believe that women have the capacity to make decisions for themselves and don't even think twice about communicating and asking what she wants. They just assume that women will just go with the flow. This is the reason why they want a submissive woman, a woman to keep their peace. And by peace, they means not have an opinion, not push back, just go with the flow. They like the go with the flow type of women, not assertive, self-confident women. Because if you make a decision for me and I am upset about that decision, I should not even say anything. I should just bite my tongue and then just let him proceed as he wishes. Absolutely not. And so the fact that she was upset says she had some kind of boundary, she had an opinion, and she had the nerve to express her opinion. Let's get into a few of these comments. Purple Mars Alien says, and even as someone who does personally use wooden tools, your cooking tools are a drop in the ocean of microplastics you are being exposed to on a daily basis. They are in every sip of liquid you drink. They are likely in most foods you eat, organic or not. All studies have really shown recently is that microplastics have gotten into pretty much everything. What type of cooking utensils you use are adding particularly nothing on top of everything else you can't control. Kat Raya said, heard on NPR that microplastics are in rain now. And then Nico Shea says, plastic rain. Now, Mundane asked to the tune of Purple or Chocolate Rain. I automatically went to Purple Rain because that was part of my childhood. But you could go with chocolate. No, I'm sorry. I can't do Chocolate Rain. I'm sorry. I can't make my voice go that low. So if you had to sing Plastic Rain, age yourself. Would you be singing it in the tune of Purple Rain or Chocolate Rain? Questions that need answers. Dr. Moby says, early 2000s club remix of both. Maltar says, are we doing mashups again? Loki Finn says, there are a couple of sound mixers who do. One is pretty popular on TikTok, but I really would like more. I love a good mashup. So you see that they have taken it to the point of ridiculousness. Let's keep it moving. I used the Google machine and put in some keywords based on that woman's post. And I found the post in the mildly infuriating subreddit. She says, my husband threw away all of my plastic and silicone cooking utensils and replaced them with 5 sets of wooden salad tossers. This would, I would be upset about this. I would not want to cook with this. I'm sorry. I know that it is a personal choice, the type of things that you cook with, but I would not want to cook with this. So let's look at how some people responded. This is her whole post. There's no caption to it or anything. Baby T-Rex says, 2 of those are for salads. The rest are great utensils. Homicidal Teddy Bear says, there's even 5 there I'd quite like to have, and I've got no shortage of wooden spoons and spatulas. The one spoon or spatula-like object that's not there that is irreplaceable to me is the fish spatula, but they have to be stainless steel. They're rubbish in any other material. No Reed says, wanna bet the OP here complains to her husband, you never surprise me, or something along those lines. And like one of those women in the 2X chromosome subreddit says, men would not like a surprise of getting rid of his stuff and replacing it with something that you think is better. They would have a conniption, but he thinks, and I know that this is a man, he thinks that the husband knows best. And that is really irritating. Talking about she would get upset about you never surprise me. That right there is very interesting. Alta4 says, definitely a communication issue, but a surprise is not throwing away something a person likes and uses on a regular basis to replace it with something else. Appropriate phrase would be says, why would you surprise someone by getting rid of their things? And No Reed says, and replacing them with objectively better things. Who gets to decide if something is objectively better other than the person that is using them? And that's what appropriate phrase asks. I feel like that's up to the actual owner of the things to decide. No, of course, you don't have to feel like it is, because it is. It is up to the person to decide if something is objectively better, especially since you're the one that's going to be using it day to day. Changes Faces says, cool. Is the husband going to hand wash these then? Because they can't go in the dishwasher. And we all know the answer to that. Not sure how to pronounce this person right here. Says, the utensils are not bad for cooking, but there are better ones you can get. I am missing a thin spatula in this, as well as a few wooden whisk. Let's stop this. This is not better. It's not better simply because they said it's better or they think it's better. Women should get the opportunity to decide what they feel is better. I do agree with the original poster that I was reading in the 2X chromosome subreddit that this is mildly infuriating, and people would not do this to a man. They think that it is okay to do it to a woman, and she should be accepting of it and just say it's the thought that counts and just go along with it. No, absolutely not. Take women's opinions into consideration. We have our own values, opinions, beliefs, and all of that. Women can decide for themselves how they want to cook and what they want to use. You go ahead and let me know, weigh in. Are you on team wife or team husband as far as these wooden spatulas versus her spatulas that she bought? Go ahead and weigh in. When your 30s hit, that is not when you start accepting less. It's honestly when you start accepting more. I do believe that this is why men try to get young women to clamor to be in relationships when they're in their 20s, because they know that by the time a woman becomes 30, she has already kind of set her foundation, knows what she wants, knows her standards. So this woman asked in the Am I Overreacting subreddit, am I overreacting by not wanting to contribute any money to a shared home? Or am I asking for too much? Just turned 30, feeling like I need to lower my standards. That part right there, feeling like I need to lower my standards. And I say absolutely freaking not. When I say freaking, I really do mean a strong cuss word that I am not going to say. But let's look at this post though. My boyfriend and I are both 30. He has around $200,000 in student loans from undergrad and a master's and pays $2,000 a month. He also spends almost $4,000 a month on rent, so he doesn't have savings. He makes $140,000 and works in Manhattan. I make $110,000 working remotely from New Jersey. I have no student debt, $200,000 in home equity, and the house has appreciated by 40% since I bought it 4 years ago. $200,000 in investments in cash and retirement savings at 30 years old. We've known each other since we were kids, and we're together more out of familiarity than passion, at least for me. We're long distance and don't even see each other weekly. I care about him, but I'm not madly in love. It's honestly hard for me to fall in love with someone I don't deeply respect. At this point, I am wondering why she's even with this man as I'm reading this. He recently brought up the idea of moving in together. He suggested I could sell my house in the suburbs and we could buy something, a condo together in Manhattan or Jersey City. He has no idea how much equity I have because I never shared it. He also doesn't have any savings, and his parents can't contribute financially since they have 5 kids. He also doesn't like to drive, which is why he moved to Manhattan and said he won't leave. What bothers me is that I'm first generation Chinese American, moved here when I was 5, and he's second. His parents came to this country when they were kids. In my culture, the man's family is expected to provide the home and the car. That's been the case for all of my cousins. I know things are different in the USA, but that expectation is still deeply rooted in me. On top of that, I want to keep my house as a rental to help support my mom. She was a stay-at-home mom, doesn't have a pension, and is divorced. She relies on me. His parents, on the other hand, both still work corporate jobs. His family are either so destitute or are cheapskates. For example, this past winter, listen to this. This past winter, their fridge broke, and instead of buying a new one ASAP, they dragged out their purchase by leaving their groceries in the backyard for a month. OMG, absolutely not. I would not want to stay in this relationship with this family because she could envision what her future would look like with a person like this. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being unreasonable. I have friends who are going 50-50 on everything with their boyfriends. Some are even helping their partners buy engagement rings. Compared to that, am I asking for too much by not wanting to contribute at all to a shared home? Or is it fair for me to want to protect what I've built, or am I too selfish for love? Whew, let's dive into that. This woman is simply tolerating this man because they are long distance. If they lived in the same city, they would probably break up because she says that she is with him out of familiarity and she doesn't even respect him and she's not madly in love with him. So the fact that she's even asking these questions for me seems kind of pointless. She does not want to combine incomes because she already thinks, it's their standard from her culture that the man is supposed to already have a house and a car. That's the reason why she brought this up, that I have this. What exactly is he even doing for me? He's going to be more of a liability. She has her rental property to take care of her mother. So why would he would be a liability. That would mess up her income to combine incomes with a person that has $200,000 in student loans. She should just leave this man alone. I don't know what she is getting from this and why she hasn't yet broken up with him, but it is the familiarity factor that I think, but she's not getting anything out of it. And she sounds like a really reasonable woman. She has the talking points. She just hasn't taken it one step further and broken up with him, which I don't understand. Let's look at some of these comments. Connect Guide says, respectfully, I think you need to raise your standards regarding the treatment of yourself. You're deeply disrespecting yourself by continuing to gaslight yourself into thinking you're unreasonable. You have a life and you are very settled and reasonable and are continuing an exclusive situationship with a man you don't deeply love and who is years behind you in maturity and life goals. Your boyfriend likely has an idea of what you'd be bringing to his life and is probably happy to use you to further his free ride and pay down loans and live beyond his means. Stop doing this to yourself with your boyfriend. You can find so much better than someone who is just there. Ask for more out of life. Continue to protect your investments in your life. You earned this and you deserve it. Don't sell yourself short and don't insult yourself by thinking you are overreacting or being too demanding. Here's the OP saying, really appreciate what you said. I don't always feel like I'm bringing that much to the table, but I do often question whether he's mature enough for me. For example, he went to see the new Superman movie 3 times after work, and after each one, he wrote these long 500-word reviews and got upset that I didn't read them. Things like that make me feel like we are not on the same page when it comes to priorities or life stage. At the same time, it's honestly hard to find a guy who is at my level or above emotionally, financially, and in terms of life direction. I think part of me has settled because I don't know what is realistic to expect. I wanted to get to this comment because I believe that it speaks to the wider situation that we're going to see and that we are currently seeing. So Annual Salary says this phenomenon is going to become more common as late-stage capitalism squeezes everyone and women gain market share in white-collar employment. You are better off than 90% of Americans, so you're eliminating 90% of men from your dating pool. And this is absolutely true, especially the women who are child-free and single. They are making leaps and bounds higher than their male peers. And they're doing so because they are more focused, women are more educated, and we are moving up the ladder. Children does do a motherhood penalty. It puts a motherhood penalty and it stifles your financial growth. It stifles your career. I can say that I do know and understand that. I fell out of the workforce simply because I had children and childcare, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this before. But child-free women can just keep on going up and up and up. And they are going to school, they're getting their education at a rate of 2 to 1. So even the graduation rate is going to be that much more exaggerated simply because women are working harder at school. And we are saying, stop doing homework for these men. Make them hold their own nuts. So that women are going to continue to climb higher and higher and higher, and men are going to have to figure out how to do it on their own. Here's the OP saying, right, exactly. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Here's where I was tagged in. Here for my pleasure set. I would invite you to go over to YouTube and watch a bunch of Bourbon Bougie's videos about women. About posts where women have settled. They are miserable. You have excellent finances. You are smart. You are future proofing. You are taking care of yourself and making plans on how you can also help care for your mother. Do not let this male ruin your life. It is not going to improve. Seriously, he doesn't want to buy a ticket to the museum so you can take pictures outside and then sit around and then go home. OOP, hell no. OOP, hell no. That is where we are. We're going to continue to say this because we're going to make them either come to our level or they're going to have to be single over there. Do not cohabitate with these types because they are miserable and insecure and will be jealous of your successes and try to pull you down to their level versus pulling themselves up to yours. Do not let any males ruin your life. In 30s, that's when you start to get into your groove. Don't let them pull you down. Join the conversation, y'all. Add to this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Stop waiting on him to change. He's already shown you who he is. We have got to stop thinking that these grown human adult males are going to change simply because we want them to. I say that because this woman asked this question in the Ask Women subreddit saying, how long did you wait for your significant other to change before deciding to leave? And at some point, women have got to stop thinking that they are going to change, even if they make promises. And this is where the whole stop giving them the benefit of the doubt comes in. Doubt their benefits until they show that they can actually change or be better. Now, we do not have to, I'm sorry. It is not your job to change someone. What you have to do is recognize what you want out of a relationship or what you want in your life. If the person you are with does not really fit that mold, you need to decide for yourself. Am I willing to accept this person? Am I willing to accept this treatment? or am I going to move on? Stop thinking that you're going to change people. You can say, look, I am unhappy about X, Y, and Z. You can bring it to their attention, but you can't make them change. All you can do is see, will I be okay with things the way they currently are? And if the answer is no, stop giving up a decade of your life. Stop giving up 8 months of your life. If you see that it's not going anywhere, leave, heal, give yourself the time, energy, and space to move on, and then figure out what you want to do with yourself and your life. Stop giving men your lives. Stop it. I thought that this would be a good discussion because women are weighing in about the time that they spent waiting. And I want us to have that conversation as well, just so that the next lady can see, maybe it's time to cut. Maybe it's time to cut and save myself so that I can enjoy the rest of my time going forward. And I don't care if you're 25 or you're 75, you deserve to enjoy your life at whatever age you're currently in right now. All right. Lolly says, there's an old adage that men marry women expecting them not to change, and they do. Women marry men expecting them to change, and they don't. What I've experienced and seen, women try everything they can think of to create the relationship they want and need. And when they finally realize there's nothing more they can do, they're 100% done. Men are always surprised by this, even though women have expressed their needs clearly and repeatedly. And so that's the reason why when Julia Peculiar tagged me in, she says blindsided. And this is one of the reasons why I get so irritated when people are like, did you tell them what you wanted? Men aren't mind readers. They're acting like women are not speaking their minds and telling them what they want. What they want or what they need, what's missing, what's changed. They're acting like women don't communicate. And that is obtuse, and that is not reality. Women speak. But when women speak, it gets interpreted through the male ears and through the male brain as nagging. And then when a woman goes quiet and the man thinks, oh man, it's cool. That's when a woman is plotting and about to leave, because once she goes quiet, then she's sitting up here trying to figure out how to get out. And that's when they become blindsided. Like, I didn't see it coming. She got mad at a sandwich and then she left me. That's because they really believe that it's about the sandwich and not the many months ago or the years ago when she was saying, I need X, Y, and Z, and he decided not to listen. Okay, I'm just going to keep pushing through with the rest of these women's stories. Actually, Infamous says almost 8 years. It was too long, but it was also necessary. No one can tell you you've waited too long. You need to do that. Spoolie22 said, we had conversations about change for years. At the end, I had a realization 2 weeks after another one of those conversations that he would never change. So I ended it. His response, it's only been 2 weeks. You can't expect 100% change in 2 weeks. And he was right. But I told him I didn't even see 1% change in 2 weeks. And I was tired of empty promises. I realized we would have a conversation about change. He wouldn't change. I'd lower my standards, have a new conversation about change. He wouldn't change, and the cycle would repeat. So I left. I just wish I had done it sooner. And then the OP says, this one hit a little too close to home. Extreme Toucan says, this one hit close to home for me. I'm in the midst of this now. Sometimes I shock myself with how much my standards for him have dropped. This one right here. This woman says, going through this literally right now. We've been together 5 years. About 6 months ago, I got a job opportunity in my home state, and we talked about moving. He was on board. His job required licensing, so he was coming later on. This part right here, listen to this. Being away from him made me really reflect on the relationship. About 2 months ago, he was talking about making another trip out ahead of moving. I had complete and utter anxiety around it. I couldn't think of any positives of seeing him. So being separate, having that space to really think, gave her the opportunity to say or see that this isn't what she wanted for herself. So sometimes that space is necessary. She says, I'm now back at his house for a week getting the last of my things, and we had a good talk last night. He has made changes, but there's always going to be this internal doubt about on how long it would last. When would his temper flare up again? Never physically violent, just angry. I think we'll end up friends. It's not been easy, but it's absolutely been necessary for my well-being. I want women to get a sense of self-preservation. You deserve better than the bare minimum. I'm happy that this woman had the space to see that. Jay says, I think if you felt anxiety over seeing him, then that means it's time to end it without question. Don't allow more time to pass. Make this current visit the end, if you're able to. Good luck. I hope it all works out for you. And then Stealthy Things responded with, absolutely, it is. That was the good part of the good talk last night. He acknowledged his issues and understanding that I just can't trust the negatives won't come back. Suspicious Link says, only you will know when you're ready. And even then, when you're away from it all, you'll probably realize that even you didn't realize it was time soon enough. Some people are painfully, obviously unwilling to change, and that's okay if that's who they want to be. It doesn't mean you should automatically change what you're willing to accept or deal with. It doesn't mean you're asking for too much. It just means you need to move on. And to that, the OP says, I get worried I'm walking away too soon. And to that, Suspicious Link says, that's understandable, but try to think of it in terms of how you're feeling. Is what has been happening hurting you? How long has it been hurting you? Does your significant other understand the extent of the pain you're in or how frustrated you are? Do they understand how important it is to you to see these changes? These are all questions you need to keep in mind. I know it's hard to just walk away because you'll always wonder, what if things change? I get it. I really do. But as harsh as it sounds, we all need to face the reality that sometimes these changes just won't ever happen. Sometimes people tell us things they think we want to hear and then just carry on as normal, disregarding everything you've said and cried about. It hurts. But we don't need to just accept it. We don't need to accept half happiness. We can actually be in relationships where we don't need to beg for the bare minimum and to beg for changes or affection or respect. It's a devastating reality to come to, but like I say, only you will know when you're ready. And if you want the opinion of a stranger, I think the fact that you felt the need to ask this question means you're ready. I think you've had enough. And it will hurt, but I promise you will feel better. And with that, I am going to end it. Do you have any stories that you want to tell in this comment section? How have you been feeling? Are you on the precipice of leaving? Have you reached that tolerable level of permanent unhappiness and you said, enough is enough? Go ahead and weigh in the comment section. I'm so close, y'all. So close to 80,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and give me a follow. I have like 40 to go and I will hit 80K over on YouTube. So go ahead and help me get to 80K and help me celebrate.
You are too fucking fine to be that fucking sad. Fix your fucking face.
And don't you ever let me catch you being sad again, queen.